I'm DaJuan Johnson, and I'm excited to introduce you to my Think Bigger Actor podcast, where I'm going to share with you different kinds of talks and coachings and conversations with actors and industry professionals on thinking bigger. I hope these conversations will help you on your path to success, because I believe success is an inside job that starts with your mindset and the thoughts you hold dominant in your mind. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Your path to thinking bigger begins now. Moniqua Plante, how the heck are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here with you. Like, this has been a long time, like, in the making, I feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, you haven't been here. You didn't want to come, I guess.
No, totally. I was like, yeah, no, screw that, DaJuan. I don't want to have anything to do with that business.
You were holding out. You were holding out on it.
Yeah.
No, it's just a lot of coordination sometimes.
Oh, totally.
So, yeah.
Of course. No, I'm super stoked to be here, but I'm doing well. Considering the craziness in the world we were kind of talking about earlier. It's living the dream still here.
It is crazy in the world, and we can just say it. I mean, a lot of stuff is happening. This podcast will be a timestamp of where we are, and in the world right now, and we are on the brink of possibly a world war. You know what I mean? So three. Yeah. So that definitely is something that is very true, and funky energy, funky.
For sure. And kind of goes into some of the stuff we'll talk about today about like how we care for ourselves in the ups and downs of not only our industry, but just life.
Right. Because there's like collective trauma too, right? Collective stuff, the energy that's going around. And so sometimes you're like, I don't know why I'm in a funky mood, but that could be just the funky stuff that's out there.
100%. And that's been going on since the pandemic, really. I mean, that's something that I've been dealing with so many of my clients, myself included, even just the ups and downs of energy and feeling just funky and out of sorts. And I was like, we are dealing with a collective trauma in the world that just hasn't let up.
Yeah, it just hasn't. Oh, gosh.
I know. We could go down a rabbit hole.
Down a rabbit hole with that. But let's just start from the very beginning. Yes. You are an actor. Mm-hmm. I said it like I said it like that on accident because I was like, do I say actress or actor? We can just say actor. You're an actor.
It's non-gender specific.
Right. Yeah. So you're an actor. Tell us your journey. Tell us your journey, because I think it's a very awesome, unique one too.
Oh, well, thank you. Gosh, I mean, it started as a kid, really. I mean, 100 years ago.
Don't say that.
I remember I had a friend who was performing in the Music Man at a theme park. I mean, it was called Great America back in the day. I'm really aging myself now. But she was.
I remember Great America, by the way. So we're both aging ourselves. But keep going.
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
And she was like, why don't you come? Like, it was like, we were all pretty young kids. And she was like, come, you could probably be in the chorus. And so I went, and it turns out that they needed a couple extra kids. Yeah. And so I got to be one of the kids who comes out and, the one who's accidentally turned the opposite way from the audience. And so I got all these laughs, and I was like, this is kind of the bomb.
I love this.
I'm kind of into this.
Yeah.
And so, talked to my mom, and I started with the San Jose Children's Musical Theater. I'm from Northern California, so started up in there and did that. And then slowly just moved into, I was a dancer. I was an ice skater, competitive ice skater, a ballet dancer. So I was always sort of doing something.
Right.
And then I wasn't really performing that much until later. A friend of mine said, like, what? You've always talked about being an actor.
Yeah.
And I had been working for the ESPN X Games. I was, really into action sports and snowboarding and skateboarding. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then that business had sort of imploded. And so at the time I was like, well, what am I going to do? And my friend were like, why don't you, get back into acting and do that? And so I did. And I just started taking, classes again and, doing independent film. And I went to ACT, the Conservatory Theater, all of that. And then eventually I was like, well, I guess I kind of have to move, I think, if I really want to make this happen. And so I did. So I moved, and, a lot like most people, I mean, I didn't have I didn't have any foothold in the industry at
Yeah.
all. I had to really just figure it out
Mhm.
and, get my SAG card and,
Yeah.
so it's been sort of just a slow and steady build
Yeah. And
over
you
the years.
did. And you
Yeah.
did get your foothold. I mean, let's
Yeah.
talk about Nashville. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of wonderful jobs that you've had. Like, so you've
Absolutely. Yes.
worked. Yes, yes.
I've worked a lot. I've created my own material, my
Mhm.
own things. I've produced. Yeah. So it's going.
Yeah. Great. Good.
Yeah.
How's it going now in this pandemic world?
Interestingly enough, I had such good luck. Actually, I mean, I signed with an amazing manager
Yeah.
and a new agent in the middle of the pandemic.
Right on.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's like, no, this is the worst time. And I
The
mean, it
best
ended
time
up
for
being
you.
the best
Yeah.
time, for
Mhm.
me. And it really just started elevating the kind of work I was getting, the kind of auditions I was getting, the kind of work I was doing. And that's been great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's going really well. And just like everyone, I've had ebbs and flows. I was very, very busy. And now, the last couple of weeks has been super slow again. And,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
all those ebbs and flows.
That's what happens. That's what happens on
Yeah.
that. So how did your acting world lead to a coaching world?
Oh, I love this because you and I go way back on this.
Yep. Mhm.
Well, like most actors, I think this is a really common theme. Well, with most people, but I find it a lot with actors who are in the pursuit of, especially, right?
Yeah.
We get really burnt out.
Mm.
And I think so many actors miss the fundamental link between, feeling our best and doing our best work.
Mm.
And I got really sick. I just was burnt out. I mean, I was
Wow.
in classes, I was networking at night, going to parties, going to events, doing it all over again the next day. I also had my day job, I was a fit model. So I was running between clients, doing that, trying to catch audition, it was just crazy schedule.
Yeah.
And I just, I just got super burnt out and eventually got very, very sick.
Yeah.
Um,
Your body
and
told you. It was like,
oh
you're not going to
yeah.
do this. Your body was like, we're going to stop you. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. And I literally had to just pull back from so many things because
Mm.
I was in bed, for
Oh,
a while. And I, went to regular doctors and unfortunately that wasn't the path for me. I got sicker and sicker. And eventually I found my own health coach.
yep.
Yeah. And that was the turning point where I finally just realized like, okay, what I've been doing is not working
Mm.
and how can I do something different?
Yeah.
And I loved the work. And I just also saw so many people who really needed that help. My friends, my colleagues, my mentors, like everyone in this industry, really,
Yeah.
and it took me a while to turn that into a coaching thing, but I always knew in the back of my head it was something I was really passionate about. And it wasn't until I eventually got really, really sick from being on set.
Wow. Wow.
So I kind of got sick twice. It was the first time that kind of pulled the rug out from under me. That was like, you cannot keep doing this. And
Yeah.
then the second time, because of course we start to fall back into our old habits. And I was traveling quite a bit between here and Atlanta for a job. And I got very, very sick again. And
Wow.
I was like, that's it. I,
Yeah.
I need to start walking my walk. And I decided to go to school for it.
Mm.
So I went and got my certifications and eventually just started coaching people. It was just sort of, I didn't really know like who was going to be my clients, but it just sort of happened that obviously I was on your summit. I had
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
some stuff with Dallas Travers when she was still coaching
Mhm.
actors, and it just kind of started going in that direction. It wasn't even a niche, if you will, that I was really seeking out.
Yeah.
And I think I started diverting for a while. And then finally I was like, why am I not working with my
I,
own community?
yeah. Yeah. We
That only
need
makes
you.
sense. That only
Yeah.
makes sense. Right.
Mhm.
And then it's just, it's taken off. And oh, I'm so passionate about it. And when I see the shift that it's made in people's lives, like it just lights me up,
Yeah. I mean,
so.
you've touched me. I still to this day don't go to the grocery store and not think about you, right? And think about, like, DaJuan, stay on the outside of the grocery store. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you said that to me
Like
one
the
time.
outside aisles.
The outside
Yeah.
aisles, right?
Yeah.
Don't, before we get into the inside process and everything,
Yes.
right? There's fresher food is on the outside aisles. And
Always on the it's on the outer aisles. Like once you get into the middle section of your grocery store, that's when all the processed packaged food is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, think real. Right?
Yeah, I remember that. I was like,
think real.
so when I'm walking around, I'm like, okay, we gotta stay here, we gotta watch it and stuff. So, you know,
well, thank you. That makes me feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, we're like that. You know, I'm just thinking, okay, before we go too much into the coaching, because I really want to hear more about that. I just wanted to hear, how do we get from acting that led you to the coaching? You know what I mean? Because I know you have worked so much as an actor, like I said earlier, in Nashville, and you know, I've seen the stuff you've done. But this is a podcast about mindset. It's a podcast about mindset. So let's talk about, real quick, what's the hardest thing you've had to do as an actor?
Probably travel for 1.5 years back and forth for a big top of show recurring guest star that, you know, I booked out of the Southeast, and the part wasn't even offered in Los Angeles. And I've had reps in the Southeast for 15 some odd years. So I've been self-taping a long time.
Yeah, right.
You know, but yeah, it wasn't even supposed to be that. It was supposed to be a smaller role. You know, I think 2-episode co-star. And then by the 3rd episode, they upped me to top a show, and they just kept writing me in. They wrote me in for, you know, the rest of the season and then another half season. And so it turned into this huge thing. But because it was a regional hire, fortunately I did get money for flights and hotel and all that kind of stuff was paid for. It was regional, but I still had to get myself there.
Yeah.
You know, and because I had to learn the hard way with my previous experience of doing that, where I got really sick and, you know, it was hard. I really had to walk my walk.
So so let me back up for a second. I understand, in my mind, I'm thinking about hard. What's hard, using the word hard, right? But what does that mean to you? Was it hard because we had to travel so much? Was it hard because craft services didn't have enough food? I just want to know, like, what is hard for you?
Physically. I'd say physically. And, you know, had I not been taking care of my instrument, you know, taking care of myself, mind, body, spirit, right? When I say self-care too, it's not like bubble baths, and it's about taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, right? It's anything that nourishes you. And so I had fortunately found my way, you know, before that. And I was kind of just at the top of my game, physically, mentally, emotionally. I felt really good in my body. Like I had tools, you know, mindset stuff, just in order to deal with it. It was still very, very taxing. So had I not had that stuff, you know, ready, had my toolbox, who knows what could have happened, right? I mean, my previous job, the one that I got really sick on, I almost lost that job because I was so sick. Wow. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's never happening again, you know, but it was also just my first really big, you know, TV thing. I had done, you know, a couple of guest stars and stuff, but now it was top of show recurring. I was you know, I was opposite a series lead in every single episode that I was in. You know, it was a big deal. And really, you just don't want to F that up.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what it is, but that's what we train for. So much, you know, I hear that a lot, and people are like, I'm nervous, and it's okay to be nervous, but please just remember, you've been training, you've been in class all this time for this moment. Like, apply it, just apply what you have. That's a moment.
And so not only the training of our talent, right? Like I was prepared when my opportunity arrived, because yes, my talent was where it needed to be. My work ethic was where it needs to be, but my health, wellness, mindset was where it needed to be too.
You know, I love some mindset. You know, I love some mindset. And it's important because if you know, people look at us and they're like, wait, you still are doing that? You're still working on mindset? You're still working on those things? We are students of our own work as well. Like, do you know what I mean? And so it's important for us to continue to do that. And we might need a kick in the pants to be just like, okay, I got to walk my walk. I got to walk.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that. I love that. I love that. All right. All right. I'd love to hear some of the high times in your career as well. I'd love to hear,
Oh my
like
gosh.
tell me a couple of those things and what you did during those times.
Well, definitely Nashville. I mean, that was for sure a big
Yeah.
highlight,
Yeah.
Um, that was also just, for people listening and, other actors, like that was a testament to knowing, like knowing my worth and also like being elevated in my career and my craft, like being able
Yeah.
to walk in there and do my job,
Yeah.
in 2 takes, and also like being really kind to people.
So important.
you know
So
we
important.
forget, but like that's really, I think, what tipped it,
Yeah.
was I hit it off with Eric close to him, and I just had great chemistry as friends, and so it worked really well on camera, but also just all of the hair and makeup people, the people in wardrobe, like it was just,
Yeah.
we just had such a great chemistry, and I think, the producers hear about that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was definitely a highlight. I mean, it was just the most fun and a really fun character. And I think the other times is really me producing my own work,
Yeah.
coming up with the idea, helping, my cohort in it write it, and producing my own work that ended
Yeah.
up winning 14 awards at various film festivals, and that film itself, it's called Pillow Talk. It's a short. It's still up on, you can get it on iTunes. It was part of Shorts TV and all sorts of stuff. It still gets so many people still watch it, which is amazing. And believe it or not, I actually make money off of this short.
Oh, you do.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, and it did exactly what we hope to do when we produce our own work, right?
Yeah.
Which is, for me, I wanted to shift up my casting. I
Yeah.
wanted to be seen as a leading lady, like a kick-ass leading lady. And it was after doing that short that my career shifted. It was when I booked Banshee and Drop Dead Diva and Femme Fatales and ultimately Nashville, which
Yeah.
was a leading lady. These were leading lady parts.
Yeah.
And who knows even how many people saw it, but it was the energy
Yeah.
behind it,
Well, I think so
really.
many people think when they're doing their own material that it's a consolation prize. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I have to do this because no, this is the way you make leaps and bounds from that way
Mhm.
when you do your own material. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, well, I guess I just shot this short. No, I shot a freaking short.
It's huge.
It's
It's
so
huge
huge.
to do your own stuff. You've done it.
Mhm.
It's a lot to
It's a
do
lot.
it,
Yeah.
and I had produced a feature film before that. I was with a production company and I had produced a feature that was very difficult. We were all wearing a lot of hats. So by the time I got to my short, I was like, oh, piece of cake.
I got this.
I got this,
Yes.
So that was really great. And then just being a part of those stories that, really, really move you. There was another short I did after that called Buttons in the Ground. That was
Mm,
just, it was just magical and mystical and just had such a good message. And,
yeah.
it's just such a beautiful, well done short. And it was just this family of people. And so that was probably another really big highlight for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what about some lows? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just wondering because I think we don't talk about those enough, right? And not that you have to like air your dirty laundry or anything like that, but I think sometimes as actors, as coaches, it's important for other actors to know that we aren't always high, right?
Oh my gosh, no. I mean, honey, my friend,
Yes.
this because I worked with you through some
Mhm.
of this stuff because, yes, I have a lot of my own mindset tools, and that's really, yes, I work with health, wellness, life. It really all comes down to mindset, right? Because
Yes.
every action we take and every action we don't take is driven by how we are thinking.
Yeah.
So I would say the biggest one that I think is important to share, because of course we've all had ups and downs in our
Yeah.
career. It was really after Nashville,
Mm.
you know, um, it was a huge thing. I was on this show for a long time. It was a really well-known show. I literally was being recognized on the street. It was really weird. Like I
Yeah.
just I had people asking me for autographs. It was crazy. I had just never had anything like that. And I sort of wasn't prepared for it in some ways. And and then nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got off a show, a huge show, and nothing happened.
I think this is so important to talk
Yeah.
about because,
Yeah.
the myth out there is when we book one thing, it's going to keep booking,
Mhm.
so many other things after that. But the actual thing that happens is you can book that and it will, produce other stuff, but it might be 6 months. It might be a year,
A
might be two
year,
year.
2
Yeah. Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you and I had talked about this where we're like, we don't know. You never know when that's will still be the thing that might help you get a job,
Yeah.
or whatever. And so, yeah, I had to do some work around that because I had that mindset of like,
Yeah.
well, I'll just book another gig. Of course,
Yeah.
like this will just keep going.
Offer only.
Yeah. Like, you're thinking like guest star series regular,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course, and it just didn't go that way,
Yeah.
and who knows whether it's an energetic thing, whether it was like I didn't have the right people supporting me or
Hmm.
I wasn't doing it. Who knows? I went through everything, as you know. It was
Right.
like, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? What more can I do? And then of course I got burnt out again because I was like,
Right.
I have to do all the things because it's not going how I expected it to go.
Right.
And I use that word very clearly because it's like an expectation hangover, right? When it doesn't go the way we want it to go, we get depressed, we get
Yeah.
down, because
Jaded. We get jaded. We get it
yeah,
all. Yeah.
we've set ourselves up though for that, right?
Mhm.
You
Well, I
know?
think the industry kind of sets us up for that.
Yeah, for
You know what I
sure.
mean? That's what the collective is saying.
Mhm.
So, and they're not telling you that again, that they're in between jobs. They're
Yeah,
saying that they're on, oh, they're working so much. And so that's what we think.
yeah,
So if you don't know what's behind the curtain,
for
then
sure.
you just think that. So what you were thinking, I just want to say was very valid. It was very
Yeah.
valid. I
Oh, for
mean,
sure.
you do it differently now. Like when you get on your next show, it ends. We're not going to expect that you're not
Mhm.
going to jump into another show because that could
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah, it
But
could.
we're also understanding like, okay, cool. I know this might go this way. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
And I think the biggest lesson that I've learned about that, like how to handle those downtimes, because it had been a while. I mean, I booked an amazing film called Low Low with Elaine Hendricks, and Nick Ritchie is the director and writer, and he is keep his name.
Yeah.
You know him. You
Yeah.
know Nick Ritchie. Like he keep his name in the
Uh-huh.
back of your head, people, because
Yeah.
he's gonna do big things. He's
Yeah.
amazing.
I worked with him on
That's what I'm
Hot.
saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's why I said you know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was really wonderful. But I didn't book another TV show until this January.
Mm,
You guys,
mm.
it had been years,
Years, huh?
you know.
Yeah.
I had done other things, I mean, I was writing, and I think in those times, the most important thing that I have found is to find a purpose and a passion and something that drives you that has nothing to do with this career and or is like acting adjacent.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah, because I think that what happens is, like for me, I bartended for 12 years,
Mhm.
right? And the thing about that is, I think it was like soul draining for me,
Yeah.
right? I did not like it. It was hard, and
Yeah,
I had to get out of that, or I was not going to make it as an actor, you know.
totally.
But that was the only thing that we heard from the group actor thing, that we have to get this type of job so we can
Mhm.
be free for auditions. And I bought it hook, line, and
Oh,
sinker.
totally. I did
I
that too, by the way.
Yeah. And it's just not the way. There are other
Yeah.
ways, like you were just saying, acting adjacent or something
Mhm.
else that you really love that you can do. I
Yeah.
really, really, really believe that. Everybody on the podcast has heard me say this many times. That whole 10,000 hours, like you got to get 10,000 hours in your craft and all this. I, who's keeping track of 10,000 hours? Like
Who knows?
nobody. Where
Yeah.
is the? So
Yeah.
I don't think that's applicable here. Um, I'm just wondering, like, what do you wish you knew 15 years ago?
Well, that thing that we were just talking about, that,
Yeah, right.
the expectation that, and having prepared myself maybe a little bit better for it back then. And really the fundamental, like I said earlier, the fundamental connection between how we feel in our mind, in our body,
Right.
if we're spiritually fulfilled, whatever that is for you,
Yeah.
all of those things, and being prepared for when our opportunity arrives.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a guy, I believe it's Catherine Hahn, but I don't know that she ever, if it ever came out, but there was a blog that was around, and this was many, many years ago. And I forget, it was called the something actress, or I don't know, like, anyway, it was a really, you know, this is before blogging was actually even really
I
like
was like, I don't
popular.
know it. I don't know it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
forget the name of it now, but I believe it might have been Catherine Hahn, because she talked about when she finally booked like a first series,
yeah.
and she talks about this very clearly, that she's like, I wish I would have taken better care of myself,
Mm,
you know. And she admits that, you know, she had struggled with her weight. And again, I don't know if it was Catherine Hahn, but this actress that I'm speaking of, whoever wrote this blog, she had struggled on and off with weight. And so this is what I used to do too, was like, I would book something, or, you know, get close to it, and then I'd go on some crash diet,
yeah.
you know, I would do some cleanse, you know, or whatever, rather than just doing that on the daily.
Mm,
And in this blog, she talked about having to get B12 shots from the set, you know, because she was getting sick. And, you know, there, it was just, she's like, I wish I would have understood the importance of taking care of myself.
yeah.
And I really do wish that I would have known that, you know, back then, rather than running myself ragged, rather than doing the all or nothing thing that actors do, of like, I have to do it all. I have to do all the things, or else I'm not an actor,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And I know you talk about this too. And it's so important to take a step back and see how you, we can be in a place of receiving
Yeah.
when we are actually open. But when you are in that mindset of like, I have to go, 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 I have to do all the things,
Mm,
because we're not acting as often as we'd like,
mhm.
you
Or
know,
auditioning or what,
yeah, or auditioning, or
right.
whatever that
Mhm.
is for you, like whenever it's not as much as you think it's supposed to be, or you want, we get into that thing of like, I have to do all the things, and then we get super burnt out, and we're literally blocking the energy of, you know, what the universe, or whatever you believe, like, wants to give you.
Yeah. The receiving, the
Yeah,
receiving.
you're
Uh-huh.
not being in
Uh-huh.
a place of just receiving. And the more you work on your mindset, whether that's
Mm,
with DaJuan or with me, or, you know, with other coaches or whatever, you know, the more you work on yourself, your connection to your instrument, to your body, like, how are you feeling about your health? How do you feel about
yeah.
your body? You know, what's your relationship to it? Because we are hired for our entire instrument,
All of it.
you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
So it's all of that stuff that I just wish. That's why I'm screaming it from the rooftops. And it's not about losing weight. I mean, if that's the thing you want, then great, I can help you with that. But that's not what the majority of people come to me for. It's about like having that connection and understanding, like, how can you be the best actor, creator, artist, human you can be?
Yeah.
And it has to do with that. It's everything, like how we connect to ourselves, to our body, how we treat it, how we feel on the daily, how we manage our mind on the daily. You know, what do we do to connect to spirit, whatever that is for you?
I'm just so intrigued by this, right? You gave a lot of that where you're like how we connect with our mind, our body, our spirit. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
the intersect of all of that in the industry. But like, what does that look like? Is that like, I mean, I know that this is a left field, but I'm just want to, is that body, we're watching what we're putting in it? Are we
Absolutely.
working out? Like, I'm just wondering, can you break it down? Because it
Yes.
sounds good, right?
Of course, of course. Well, body would be let's look at your relationship with your body, because
Yeah.
that's a huge thing. And that has everything to do with your confidence on
Mm,
camera, you
mhm.
know, what you're bringing to the scent, that, you know, the set, that energy, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's your relationship to yourself? When I speak physical body, yeah, like everything you put into your body can do one of two things. It's either going to elevate you,
Yeah.
give you like a clean, cool energy, connected, you know, give you clarity and focus, or it's going to drain all of that, amp up your nerves, give you anxiety, you know, digestive issues, like, you know, it's
Yeah.
going to go one of two ways, really.
Yeah.
So that's just the physical part of it. But the relationship to yourself, how you just feel in your body, in the skin you're in, right? Like, that's your energy, your vibe. That's
Yep.
like the special, extraordinary thing that only you can bring, right?
And
Like,
you
and if
can't bring it
you're,
when you're blocked, when stuff, yeah,
yeah,
right, right,
like
right,
if you're
right.
just like, oh God, I'm embarrassed, I can't, oh, I'm this, I'm that, or they're going to see this lump, this bump, or I don't look young enough or old enough, or I'm this, whatever, all of that,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
negative talk that we have. And it's very, everyone has it. This is the industry we're in, right? And
yeah,
we are, socialized to feel like we're not enough.
yeah, yeah,
Right. And so that's, that part of it really. And then the mental part of it is all the stuff that does have to do with those two things I just spoke about with your body, but your mindset, as you know, as you preach,
yeah,
it has to do with all of it. Because like I said earlier, every action you take and every action you don't take is driven by how you're thinking,
yeah.
so if you're not working on your mindset daily, right?
Daily, like moment
Daily.
to moment. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
because literally all the things we want in life, the love, the money, the success, the relationships, the experiences, the bookings, the
Yeah.
jobs, all of those things, none of those, they just do not grow in a toxic environment,
Oh,
which our brain and body can absolutely be without real care and direction.
wow. Wow. That was deep.
you know yeah, I mean, you have to be working on it. Now
Mhm.
it doesn't mean obsessively,
Yeah.
because then we're going the opposite way, but like really the deep work that I have to do with my clients, which is really my jam, is that mindset work. Like, let's get under those stories,
Yeah.
those beliefs that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you small, that are keeping you behaving in a way that's a lot of times self-sabotage.
Yeah. And reframe them. Let's get in there and
Yeah.
let's, yes, 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 yes.
Yes. And understand why you do the things you do, why you behave the way you do.
Yeah.
And, as far as the spirit part of it, it's like,
Mm.
what connects you? What
Yeah.
keeps you grounded and connected in your body, in your space, in your life?
Yeah.
Whatever that is for you. Like, I'm definitely much more of a woo-woo, like universal
Yeah.
sort of thing. You know me, that's my jam. And so sometimes it's for me just like going outside, getting my feet in the dirt and connecting to the earth,
Wow.
and like picturing that light, coming down
Coming
from
out of your
heaven,
hand.
down,
Yeah.
down through the center
Yeah.
of my body, down through my chakras, those roots growing out from my feet into the crystalline core of the earth, and just feeling that like connection.
Yeah.
It can be as easy as that. It can be as simple as that, you know,
Or meditation
all of it.
or yeah, all that stuff.
Yes.
That's what I do. Mhm.
Yes, I meditate.
Mhm.
I like to try and do it twice a day, but I usually only get one day,
I only get one.
yeah, one in the morning.
Kids are
And
not going to let me.
100%. And, for that too, as far as routines and rituals, I think that's part of our spirit,
Yeah.
right? That's part of how we take those daily actions around our mindset, around our body, around our instrument, is having those rituals and routines, right? So your morning routine, if that's when you meditate, it can be the 20-minute like transcendental thing.
Yep.
Or if you don't have time, it could be 10
2 minutes.
seconds. It could be 10
Yes.
seconds of deep
Yes.
belly breathing and setting an intention for your
Yeah.
day.
Yes.
Like that could be it. So it has to ebb and flow with you as
Mhm.
well. But that's how we stay grounded, connected. That's how we get clarity on things we're having issues with. It's how we take care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit.
It's so interesting because I always think when I see myself included, that those are the first things that go, by the way, when
100%.
we're stressed or when like I am rushed with my kids or something in the morning, like my meditation stops. Right. And then I have to get back into it. I'm like, oh, right. I do love this. I do get to drop into this, but it's funny how we throw those things away first, you
The
know?
very things that help us get to a place of peace and receptivity, a place where we're literally like happy and joyful and open and calling in and being a magnet for the things that we really want in our lives.
Yeah.
We literally stop doing them.
Bye. We're like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also the minutes things start going really great, we stop doing them.
Yeah.
We self-sabotage right there. And also
Exactly.
in the times that we need it the most, like you said, when we're really stressed out and everything's going haywire, we abandon them then too.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is that? I've never thought about it that way. Even when the good things we're like, oh, it's so much going on. I can't do it right now. I've
Yeah, we
never
just
thought
feel
of
like,
it.
oh, I got this.
Yeah.
But the reason you got it is because you were doing all of those rituals and routines and
Yeah.
you were in flow. And, I don't know, maybe we just get cocky.
I was just gonna say, are we cocky?
Maybe we're just like, oh, I got this. I know what's going on. And then it all, we have to go back to those things that are serving us,
Yeah.
that are getting us into the place, the mindset, the physical, mental, all that space where we are calling in and being a magnet
Mhm.
for the things that we want.
I love that. I love that. So a health coach, a confidence, a curator, wellness expert for actors and creative pros. I saw that on your website. I just tell us what exactly that means. You know what I mean? Because that's a lot of amazing words. I want to know. Like,
Well,
I
thank
know it's going to
you.
be good. Let me know.
Yeah, amazing words. And as
Yeah.
well, obviously, I'm a certified nutritionist and health
Mhm.
coach. The confidence curator is, like I said, when you intersect and bring together all of the pieces in a holistic way, right? When you're not just working on your craft, when
Right.
you are working on all of those things we just talked about, your mind, your body, your spirit, when you are connected, when you're grounded, when you have that clarity, like then you have that confidence,
Yeah.
that vibe, like you can go in there and crush your goals. It will help you take inspired action and show up for yourself, for your work, and for the people and things in your life that are truly important to you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And the wellness expert that just goes along with it, right? Like, I want you to be well and good. I want you to live your best life so you can truly go after your dreams and achieve them. I want to look at everything in a holistic way because it's not just one thing, like we talked about. Like, when things are going awry, like, I'll use a food analogy, like, say, you're coming home, you're kind of depressed. And so you immediately just start eating whatever, eating yourself out of
Chips
house
or
and home.
something.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
eating the crap food or whatever. Like, is that really an issue with food, or is it an issue with your relationship because you just got into a huge fight with your partner?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, is it an issue with the job? Like you said, like, you waiting tables or bartending, which I did for a long time too. Like, is it an issue with that? Right. Like, it's looking at all of those things that are putting us into patterns that are not serving
Yeah.
us, you know? So that's what I look at. I look at everything because it's all connected.
It's so all connected. And, you can, Miata, one of Idoba, who is a money coach, says the same thing. You have a relationship with money,
It's
right? And
energy.
it's so interesting. I
Mhm.
used to come home from work at the bar and I'd have a glass of wine. That was my way of decompressing.
Mhm.
And then somebody asked me just to take a look at that. Like, what's your relationship with the alcohol, or is it the restaurant, or like,
Mhm.
how do you? And I was like, what do you mean? I got to take a look at this. And I did. And I was like, oh, this is just how I decompress. I could read a book too. I could
Yeah.
also,
Do
walk.
yoga, stretch, go
Yes.
for a walk outside.
Have a
And I
walk.
remember you and I had even talked about this at one point where I said, well, yeah, when you're drinking wine right before, like at
Oh my
night,
God. Yeah.
it totally
Yeah.
affects your sleep too. And believe me, I love wine. Like,
Yeah.
I love a good glass of wine. We have to just think about again, everything you put
Yeah.
in your body,
Everything.
how does it affect you? Like, drinking one glass might be okay, like if you're having that with dinner, but are you drinking, is that leading you to drinking two or three? And then your sugar kicks in at 3 a.m. and you're awake and you're getting really bad sleep. And by the way, I will reiterate again, sleep is where the magic happens, my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you, that story that she was telling is just that I, for years, was an insomniac. And I was it was just so heavy for me because I was like, at night, I'd be like, the one thing that we can do, like the primal thing we can do is sleep. And I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
And I was so like, okay. And I was on Ambien and I was on like different pills and stuff. And I was just like, okay, this is my life.
Yeah.
But then during Lent, I gave alcohol up for 40 days.
Mhm.
40 days, and I had never slept better. And I realized that it wasn't that I was an insomniac. It was what I was putting in my body. And that sugar kicked in. And then I would get up and go to the bathroom at 3 a.m. And then once I was up, I was up. So
You're
I
right.
totally, I agree with you. We got to be careful about what we're putting in our bodies. I've switched from pops. I used to drink pop, and now I have
Ooh.
like a little a little bubbly,
Just bubbly water.
just a
Yeah.
bubbly
Yeah.
water. I mean, it's not a pop, you know, but
I love that you call it pop.
oh, soda. I keep forgetting my
No,
Chicago
I
comes
love
out
that
now.
it's pop. I love it. A soda pop. Yeah.
Now I'm
Which
embarrassed.
no, I love it. I love it. And here's the thing too, like it's understanding too.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like we are sold such a story in this world, America and across the world about our like what food is. And half the time it's not even real food. It's just fake processed stuff that's made from chemicals.
Yeah.
And unless you have the education around it, people just don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Like soda, especially like those, soda or pop, like those commercials about Coke, like you're going to be a superhero. Your life is going to change. Like things are going to be amazing when you drink it. That's the thing. And little do they know that literally you could clean your carburetor with it.
Right.
So it's things like that it's really just knowledge.
Yeah.
It's
awareness and having somebody like you in their corner, because I anytime I have a glass of wine now, I have to think, do you not want to sleep or do you want to sleep? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's like one of those things. So, because I always want to feel good in my own skin, and so you talk a lot about that, about feeling good in your own skin. And you've talked about it in pieces throughout this podcast, but how do you go about achieving that? Let's talk. How do I go about feeling good in my own? Let's break it down for real.
Well, again, it depends on the person, because it ultimately depends on what are your issues. I hate to say that, like what's your relationship with your body? How do you feel about your body? Because like I said, it's, your self-worth has nothing to do with how you look or the weight you are at, and stuff like that. And
your self-worth is not an audition too. You don't want to get it wrapped up in all that stuff either.
No, that's what I'm saying. And so, that's why I always say, like, it has nothing to do with how you look on the outside. But if you want to feel your best, bring the best of yourself to everything you do, of course, it starts with your health, your wellness, your, mindset, how you relate to your body. But that's really it. And I've had so many clients who have come to me for weight loss specifically, like, and sort of, kind of that crazy thing, like, I want to lose 30 pounds in, 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you do that?
There is no quick fixes. And I'm going to say that very clearly right now. There are no quick fixes. That is why diets don't work. Right. And so for her, it was so interesting. She's the perfect example of this. It was so interesting because it was understanding the issues she had around food, her relationship to her body, her own confidence, and where she was putting her self-worth, and the stories she'd been telling herself her whole life since she was a kid, and why she was in this, the diet thing. She'd been on diets her whole life, since she was 18 or something, even before that, probably. And it was sort of diverting her away from the weight loss thing and really working on her relationship with herself, minding her mind, really turning some of those stories and stuff on their head. I did a lot of deep work, some inner child work and all sorts of stuff. And eventually it was so interesting. It was like this light switch just went off and she just was like, I don't even really care about the weight loss anymore. Like I feel good.
Yeah.
Like I feel comfortable. I feel confident. And then sure enough, the weight started coming off. Too, just without her even really having to like work so hard at it. It's again, even within our acting careers, we talk about like being committed without being attached.
Yep. Love the attachment.
It's the same thing I find with understanding and how to feel good in the skin you are in. And that's at any weight, at any stage, at any age in your life.
Yeah, I love that. But I also love that you talk about the relationship with food. I'm going to like just talk about myself here for, a second. Like, I think that like I watch people on Instagram and Facebook. I love them when I can see their meal preps, and their meal preps are so great. And I'm like, oh my God, they don't have kids. And I just don't, me and food, I actually hate cooking food now with my kids because it's like 3 different like meals that we have to prepare. There's no way to like meal prep. I don't have the time for it. They don't want to eat it. It becomes this really big thing. And I just wonder, you know, if I can make my podcast about me.
It is your podcast.
You know, like, what do I do? Can you help me with? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
You know, prepping, I think, you know, again, just like the word self-care, I think meal prep, you know, kind of in some ways, all of it gets a bad rap until you actually get into it. You know, it's for you because of the kids, it would be finding those simple things that you could do ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, especially for breakfasts, I think that might be the easiest place to start. That's sort of where I start with even all of my clients is like, do they like oatmeal? Do they like eggs? Do they like, you know, chia seed pudding? Do they like cereal? Like, I don't know, like, what is the thing that they like?
Pancakes.
You know, you know, but it's like, can you prepare that stuff in advance or have the batter already made or, you know, things that you could just simplify the process in the moment of, you know, like for yourself, for example, like say you like oatmeal, you also like eggs. So something that I would do is do like 3 things of overnight oats. You know, I put them in small mason jars. This is a biggie, but you know, I'm showing a very large mason jar for those.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes.
But you know, like you would do like a pint or something like, you know, overnight oats, have 3 of those ready, maybe soft boil some eggs, you know, and have just some greens on the side or whatever, you know, just so it's real, just it's not like you're having to prepare everything in advance, but it's making it easier.
Yeah.
So like if you're packing your kids' lunches, is there a sandwich that you can make in advance? Is it cutting up the you know, some veggies or some apple? Is it, you know, just doing that kind of stuff? So it just makes it easier on you.
That's what I need. Like the word, let it be easy, you know, is just like, I don't want to do the fight every morning. I don't want to do it, you know, I just don't want to do it. And so I love to cook. I'm the guy who used to have like big Thanksgiving spreads for like 30 people at my house. Totally. You know, and I would cook everything, but it's like I think my kids, they've broken me. And it's such a good way. It's such a good way.
I'm just curious. And I don't know, obviously I'm not a parent. So this is something that you can school me on a little bit. Like, is there a way, I mean, you know, it's again, setting some boundaries and stuff, but is there a way at some point to be like, this is what you're having or not? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about stories, right? The thing is, that was the way my mom was with me.
That's how my parents were with me too.
This is what's on the table. And if you don't want it, like, you know, and so I have resented that for like for my life, because I went to bed hungry many nights and I just didn't like seafood. I didn't like, you know, there's certain things you don't like. So we have implemented that in our house that, you know, if you don't like what's on the table, then you don't have to eat it. You are welcome to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because I'm not going to send a kid to bed.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
yeah.
We're working on it, but I think the making things easy, like you're saying, with some oats, or, you know, it could be just as simple as now that I'm thinking about it, asking them, what do they want for breakfast the night before? That could start, you know, a whole thing in there.
So it alleviates that like argument in the morning, you know, oh my God, I'm running out of time, because, you know, you have clients, you have auditions, you have things you need to do too. So it's like, you know, alleviating the scenario, really, you know, and this has been my favorite phrase and my mantra for years is let it be easy.
Let it be easy.
So it's even setting out their clothes the night before. Get that stuff all done.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of your nighttime routine.
I love that.
You know, that it's like, okay, kids, I want you guys to think about what you want for breakfast now. And you're going to tell me now. And that's what's happening in the morning. And also let's pick out what you're wearing to school.
Yeah.
You know, just things like that just, again, alleviate some of it. It's not like you have to dedicate a whole Sunday, you know, to a million
meal prepping.
But for you, you know, even for you and, you know, your hubs, it's like, maybe it is just like doing an hour or 2 of something on a Sunday where it's like, okay, I'm going to pick like 2 different types of proteins, and I'm just going to do a big tray of roasted vegetables, and I'm going to make sure we've got some greens. And that's it. So I'm going to have a roasted chicken, and we're going to cook a steak or 2.
Right.
And that stuff's ready. So you could just like heat it up in an iron skillet for
Yeah.
your dinner if you guys are just pressed for time. So it's just simple. Think simple, simple, simple,
Yeah. I love that.
you know? Yeah.
Actors out there too. Think simple, simple, simple,
Yes.
for meal preparation. That's a good way of looking at it. And I can't believe I haven't thought about that. It's because I'm in it sometimes, right? With my kids, I'm in it. I could talk to you, I could talk to you all day. We could just go on and on and on and on. But before I let you get out of here, I just want to, you've mentioned so many times, self-care.
Yeah.
I heard you say self-care. And I do think sometimes self-care gets a bad rap because people think it's being selfish. And I think that's okay. We're allowed to be selfish a little bit with
100%.
ourselves, and so I just want to know, what does self-care in your opinion look like for creatives? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
What do we need to do?
Well, that is my jam, right?
Yeah.
And first, I do want to address the fact that the word is totally overused. We hear it's like self-care, I think, gets a bad rap for that. It's like, oh, self-care, self-care. And when you're a busy parent and you're an actor and you own a business and like yourself, like that goes to the back of the bus, really, and unfortunately, it's also the thing that's going to help you be the best parent, the best partner, the best actor, the best entrepreneur, the best boss. So it's figuring out how to fit it in a way that becomes habitual. That's why I love rituals and routines. When you have a ritual around certain things, it becomes like something you look forward to, right? And self-care for me, and what I really coach around, is anything that makes you feel good, anything that nourishes you, right? So that could be, yes, great. If you have time to take bubble baths, I would do that all day long, right? And get massages. Yes, of course. But no, it could be as simple as sitting down for 5 minutes to meditate and breathe, walking around outside, like getting your feet in the earth, getting some sun on your face. It could be meal prepping, making a nice, nourishing meal for yourself. That is self-care, right? As far as creatives, it's all of that, right? It is, how do we take care of our mind, body, and spirit? Self-care for me is learning how to, rewire and reframe your limiting beliefs. It's how to ditch the negative self-talk. It's learning how to actually love yourself in the skin you're in. Everyone talks about, oh, self-love, but nobody actually tells you how to freaking do it. Right. So it's like learning those things and unlearning so many things that no longer serve us. Right. It is, whether it's affirmations or mantras or really working on your mindset, that is all self-care. Right. So self-care is this big umbrella of what makes you feel good. What helps you be the best person, the best actor, the best human that you can be. That's self-care.
I've known you for so long, but I'm like, should I run over and work with Moniqua?
My door is always open for you.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. You're so great. I love all of this. I love your journey. I love, the coaching. I love everything. I love everything about you.
Oh, well, the feeling is mutual. And I just so appreciate you having me on. And I really do hope this conversation is helpful for people, because I think a lot of people, actors especially, get nervous around health and wellness, and it's like I said, it's just about you feeling your best. So you're bringing the best of yourself to everything that you do.
And also what I did hear while you were talking is that this is not something that we should wait on. Like when I book that job, then I'll start getting better eating or a better, it's like, let's get this now. Let's start doing this now. It's kind of what I heard as well.
Yes, it is important now, because too, like, you don't know when the opportunity for you to really shine is going to come to you. So we need to be prepared now. And also, like, this is going to help you show up, like I said, for everything as your best self, rather than, I always say, this is about you giving the best of yourself rather than just what's left of yourself.
Woo. I say that. Stop giving your career the leftovers. Thank you so much, Moniqua.
Thank you so much, love, for having me. This was so fun. I literally could just talk to you for hours.
All day. We can do it all day.
Thank you for having me. It really was I'm just so grateful. It was just such a blessing. So thank you.